If you're looking for a relaxing one-skein project, this is it. The ripple stitch is perfect for projects like this because it's reversible. It's just involved enough to keep your interest, yet its simple repeat makes it a great project for when you need to tune out and just enjoy the process. The step-by-step tutorial is coming up. I personally love to use mandala yarn for scarves and cowls, and that's what I'm recommending for this project. You'll only need one to get the job done. Now, mandala is a lightweight number 3 yarn, so if you need to substitute, try to keep it in the lightweight category. You could technically use a medium weight yarn as well, but know if you do, it'll likely use more yarn and it'll turn out a little bigger than the pattern suggests. Okay, to get started, make a slip knot and chain 45. By the way, the easiest way to follow along with this tutorial is to have the pattern at your fingertips while you watch. You can view the pattern for free on my website, or if you prefer to have a copy in hand, you can buy the PDF from my shop. I'll have a link to both of those options in the description below, so you can choose what works best for you. When you have 45 chains, we're ready to start the first row. So find the 4th chain from the hook and double crochet there. The 3 chains will count as a double crochet. That's not so important right now. It's definitely something you'll want to think about as we finish off the next row. Then make a double crochet in the next 4 chains. In order to get the ripple pattern, we have to incorporate increases and decreases. So first up, we'll do the decrease. And the one that we'll use for this stitch is the double crochet 2 together. To work that, yarn over and insert your hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. Then we'll do it all again. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Then work the decrease again so you'll have 2 side by side. Now see how those 2 decreases pull everything together? This is what you'll do for each of the valleys in the ripple pattern, or basically the lowest section of the pattern. Now that we have the first few stitches complete, here's where the row repeat starts. Make 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. That'll get you to the peak, or the highest point in the ripple pattern. To work that, you'll make 2 increases. So make 2 double crochets in the next 2 chains. Then double crochet in the next 4 chains. Followed by 2 double crochet 2 together stitches. So that's the repeat. You'll work back up with a double crochet in each of the next 4, followed by your increases for the peak, the 2 double crochets in those 2 chains. You'll work back down to the decreases. So keep going with that trend until you get to the end of the chain. When you have only 1 chain remaining, you'll increase here based on how the ripple pattern flows, so make 2 double crochets in the last chain. So your first row should look something like this when you're done, with a nice subtle wave. Everything you'll do in the next row, row number 2, you'll do for every single row throughout the entire pattern. So to start, chain 3 and turn. Remember, the chain 3s at the beginning of our rows count as a stitch, which means we will work into them later. Then make a double crochet in the first stitch, the one with the chain, so you'll technically have 2 stitches there, or an increase. Then we'll continue with our familiar pattern. Make 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And when we get down to the valley, you'll work 2 double crochet 2 together decreases. Then 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And finally, at the peak, you'll work your increases, 2 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So keep going with that repeat. Here's something you can keep in mind to help you stay on track. You're always going to have 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches in between your peaks and valleys. So when you do your decreases for a valley, you'll work 4. Then you'll do an increase, then your 4. Then your decrease, then your 4. So that's the trend. At the end of the row, your last stitch is the chain 3 from the beginning of that first row. So find the 3rd chain and make 2 double crochets there. Another thing to keep in mind as you're working through this pattern is you'll always do an increase at the very beginning and the very end of the pattern. So increase in your first stitch, increase in your last stitch. And when I say increase, I just mean 2 double crochets for that stitch. That's really all there is to this project. For the next row, do exactly as you did in the second row and throughout the entire pattern. You'll keep going until you have a little less than a yard of yarn left. When you do, it'll look something like this. It's about 10 inches wide and about 56 inches long. Now, technically, you can leave it as a straight scarf if you'd like, but this is a little shorter than a traditional scarf. You could always add more yarn and keep going if you'd like. It's a pretty flexible pattern. However, for this one, I'm going to join the 2 ends together for a circle scarf. Fold the 2 ends so the pattern meets up, and find the first stitch on the opposite side of the working yarn and slip stitch. That'll get your initial join going. Then find the next stitch on both layers, and you'll catch just the inner loop and slip stitch. And keep going so you're catching the inner loops of both layers, just making a slip stitch for every stitch. When you're done with that, go ahead and fasten off and weave in the ends. I like the way this ridge looks for the right side of the cowl, so I'll weave in the ends along the opposite side, but you can choose what looks best to you. That's all for now, friend. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with me until the end. I really appreciate your support liking, watching, commenting, and buying the PDF patterns from my shop. There's simply no way I could keep doing what I'm doing without that support, so thank you so, so much. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so if you're into this sort of thing. I make crochet and knitting projects like this all the time, and I'd love to keep inspiring you to make something that'll make you happy. Happy hooking, and I'll see you in the next one.